conference. Good afternoon, and it's absolutely fantastic for us all to be back here in Manchester. For our country to prosper and succeed in the future, we need to make it a country that really does work for everybody. And education and skills are right at the very heart of that ambition. Our party in government has made huge improvements to our education system. Improvements that are transforming the opportunities for our young people and for our country. And we should be exceptionally proud of that fact. As you've heard, 1.8 million more children being taught now in schools that are either good or outstanding compared to when Labour were voted out in 2010. And this hasn't just happened by accident. Labour's legacy was grade inflation. That meant ever-rising GCSE grades while standards fell. And a shocking number of children leaving our school system without the basic skills that they needed to do well in life. Conservative education ministers stepped in with a programme of bold, ambitious reforms, giving choice to parents with the introduction of free schools, giving more freedom to head teachers so they could innovate and improve standards through academies, and delivering a more rigorous curriculum, establishing a world-class examination system at GCSE and A-level, so that our young people come out of our school system with the level of knowledge and skills that they need, and ultimately employers need to be successful. And in this past year, we've gone further, tackling the iniquitous, decades-old postcode lottery in school funding in England and introducing a national fair funding formula backed by an extra £1.3 billion of funding for the core schools budget. And in the last month, we've also delivered on our promise to introduce 30 hours of free childcare for working parents. That's going to make a very big difference to literally hundreds of thousands of parents. And in teaching, there are already a record number of teachers in our schools, 15,500 more than in 2010. And I believe teaching is a profession, but I'm determined to help strengthen the profession through stronger qualifications and ensuring access to continued professional development of teachers right the way through a teacher's career. And the fact is, because of these reforms, the historic attainment gap in our schools between children from disadvantaged backgrounds and their better-off peers is now finally closing. And in higher education, thanks to other reforms there and the removal of Labour's perverse cap on student places, which was literally a cap on aspiration, more talented young people from disadvantaged backgrounds than ever before are now getting a chance to be able to go to our world-class universities. In fact, last year, 18-year-olds from disadvantaged areas were 43% more likely to be able to go to university than in 2009. But there's a whole lot more that we can and we must do to help make sure that this really is a country that works for everyone, and that the benefits of our education reforms are spread to all areas, so that how far someone can go in life isn't determined by their family or indeed where in the country they're born. But we know that for some children, their development has already fallen behind on literacy and on numeracy by the time they even start school. So I'm announcing that the next phase of our £140 million Strategic School Improvement Fund will include a new focus on boosting literacy and numeracy during a child's reception year. And our maths hubs are already spreading excellence in maths teaching. And today I can announce that we're going to now invest a further £6 million to make sure that those maths hubs are in more areas where we know they need to make the biggest difference. And we'll also go further. We're going to create a 12 million network of English hubs in the Northern Powerhouse to further improve early language and literacy. And because great teachers are at the heart of a great education, I want to do more to support schools to be able to attract and keep the very best of the teaching profession. We will invest more than £30 million in tailored support so that we can get more great teachers in some of the schools that struggle the most with recruitment and retention. And we'll introduce a pilot student loan reimbursement program to help attract and retain teachers. And we'll target it at the subjects and the areas of the country that need them the most. Last year in Birmingham, I announced the first 6 opportunity areas. These are the places that are facing some of the biggest challenges for young people growing up, where we're working inside and also outside of our schools with local communities and charities, and with employers like EDF Energy in West Somerset, Grant Thornton in Norwich, and Rolls-Royce in Derby, not just to raise educational attainment in the school system, but also to raise sights and broaden horizons for those young people through mentoring and work experience. And since then, I've doubled the number of opportunity areas that we're working in, because I'm determined that we will apply the lessons that we're learning from them and on what works to boost opportunity for young people in other parts of the country too. But there are other children missing out as well. I also want to talk about the children outside our mainstream schools in so-called alternative provision settings. These are the children with perhaps the most challenges in their life, often the most vulnerable, which mainstream schools find it less easy to deal with. At the moment, less than 4% of these children achieved A star to C in English and Maths GCSEs. That's compared to more than 64% of children in state-funded mainstream schools. None of us should accept that. And it's just as unacceptable that compared to other children, they're so much more likely to end up in the criminal justice system. But with the right support, their lives could have been on track. Of course, in alternative provision, there are some of the most dedicated, inspiring teachers and parents that you'll ever meet. But this is an area of education that has been set on one side for far too long. So I will bring forward proposals to ensure that alternative provision is the very best that it can be, and that the best practice that is already there in this field becomes the norm, so that alternative provision gives all the young people in it the opportunity to fulfill their potential. And we will make sure that those children can do better. Now, on technical education, many people don't realise that since 2010, with business, we've helped create more than 3.4 million apprenticeships. That's millions of opportunities for young people to get development in the workplace. And coming into this role, to me, it was vital that our education system post-16 should be gold standard for all our young people, not just the half who go on to do A-levels and university. That's what I said at a conference last year. And our reforms to technical education in this country are going to deliver choice for those great young people and skills for our employers. As we prepare to leave the European Union, this has never been more important for our country, because this great country of ours needs a skills revolution. And I want our country to have an army of skilled young people there and ready for the British businesses that so badly need them. Labour was happy to import skills. As a Conservative government, we are going to build up our homegrown talent. And that's why, in the budget this year, hailed by the CBI as a breakthrough budget for skills, we announced £500 million a year extra investment in technical education reform. We will pursue excellence in further education, as we have in our schools. And we will introduce T-levels, technical qualifications that will be every bit as rigorous and respected as academic A-levels. And we will make sure that the technical education ladder is going to reach every bit as high as the academic one. In 2015, we introduced degree apprenticeships so that individuals can earn while they learn. And in less than 2 years, more than 2,000 people have already started one. So today, I'm announcing the next wave of 27 degree apprenticeship projects that will help meet the growing demand for these opportunities from the next generation. More and better education choices for our young people. Everything that I've just talked about is about giving our young people their chance to reach their potential. Not just some of them, but all of them. Many of them will have voted Labour at the last election. Now, I don't agree with Labour's proposals to scrap tuition fees, because we can see the impact of not having fees over the border in Scotland. It leads to a cap on university places, which is a cap on opportunity. And we know what happens. As the Sutton Trust found last year in Scotland, the gap between the proportion of people from the most advantaged areas and the least advantaged areas going to university in Scotland is higher than in any other of our home nations. I was the first person in my family to have the chance to go to university, and I want more and more young people to have that choice in the future, not fewer. And we want to help students when they graduate. That's why we're taking action right now to freeze student fees. And it's why we're increasing the amounts that graduates can earn every year before they start paying back their fees, from £21,000 to £25,000, saving young graduates up to £360 next year. But if we're going to win the trust and the support of young people more generally, I think we need to understand two things. First of all, for lots of them, negative party politics is a real turn-off. Yes, of course, we should hold Labour to account for its empty promises, like Labour's empty promises to young people on student debt, and actually they're raising tuition fees in Wales. But that's not enough. Because secondly, they want to hear about how our policies are going to make their lives better. And we have to take the priorities of a new generation of voters and make them ours. And that means we've got to be positive, constructive, optimistic. And we'll win the battle of ideas by showing how our politics delivers for them in practice and how it makes a difference in their lives day to day. And in the end, it's about equality of opportunity. That's why I'm a Conservative. Education is at the heart of our positive message to young people. I'm someone who went through the state education system and went to my local comprehensive school, and my teachers inspired me. And whether it's work in opportunity areas to lift the communities that can do so much better through education, whether it's our technical education reforms giving young people post-16 great choices, or whether it's understanding that we cannot allow a young person's life to be written off because of the difficult circumstances that their life might have started with. Education is about levelling up opportunity. No one community or part of our country has a monopoly on talent. And Britain will only be at its best when we unlock it all. That's what social mobility is all about. Stronger communities, a stronger economy, a stronger country. Equality of opportunity. This is For us, our party's mission, it means a country that works for everyone. The Conservative Party is the party that reached out to me when I was a young person growing up in Labour-run Rotherham. And I know we are a party that can now reach out to young people today. They want a choice. They deserve a choice. Let's give it to them. Thank you.